The question is, did last night's game, Max, vindicate Elway's quarterback decisions?
Yes, of course it did, and as though Elway needs vindication. Look, John Elway said during the offseason, why does it have to be you get paid essentially like a bum, or you get paid a replacement player, or you get paid franchise money? Why can't we have middle-class quarterbacks? Why did he say that? Because the job of a GM in a hard cap league is to properly price commodities, in this case players, draft picks. So he looks at it and goes, I'm not paying that guy franchise money. I mean, after the fact, they claim that they were offered similar money by Denver, but notice that's not what happened. He signed away. Because he's not worth that money, because I can approximate Brock Osweiler, who's an okay quarterback who was made to look like a bad one against one of the two best defenses in the world, along with Minnesota's. He's an okay quarterback at best. If you have Osweiler, you're probably looking to do a little better, but okay, he can hold it down for now. He's not a great plus, obviously, but he's not going to kill you. He doesn't want to give that guy franchise money. And incidentally, for people who do question John Elway, shouldn't you be done questioning his judgment by now? I mean, you can say, hey, I wonder if that's the right decision. Time will tell. Everyone makes mistakes. No one's perfect. But doesn't he deserve the benefit of the doubt? Think about the decisions John Elway has made, starting with turning down the Colts, holding out for the Broncos as a player, using baseball as leverage, sticking around till he got a running back, winning 2 Super Bowls, retiring on top of the world, drafting a defense, winning first with signing Peyton Manning, winning with the offense but no defense, winning with the defense but no offense. Like, at what point do people wake up and realize the dude has really good judgment, and it's showing again here?
Well, first of all, I think you're jumping the gun just a little bit. Nobody's questioning the legitimacy of John Elway as an executive. What we're talking about is whether or not last night's game proved anything, and I'm saying to you, absolutely not. First of all, I wasn't sold on Brock Osweiler to begin with. Yeah, they were booing him profusely, and obviously they shut him down by making sure DeAndre Hopkins and the other receivers weren't getting open, because between Blue and Lamar Miller, both of them averaged better than 5 yards a carry last night. They could have ran the football more. They elected not to do so. They wanted Brock Osweiler to get off, and he couldn't get in. He couldn't find anybody open. He's not the greatest quarterback to begin with, and that is that. But when you talk about Denver and Trevor Siemian and whether or not the Denver Broncos have proven anything, need I remind y'all that at 5-2, there are 9 games to go for the Denver Broncos. 2 are against the Oakland Raiders. 2 more are against the Kansas City Chiefs. 1 is against the San Diego Chargers team that has already beat them. All right? That's 5 games. Another 6th is against the New England Patriots. And then you look on the rest of their schedules, there's 2 gimmies, albeit on the road against Jacksonville and Tennessee potentially. And, of course, there's a game against Drew Brees. And New Orleans has no defense. They might as well be called the Aints instead of the Saints. We understand that. But in the end, what it comes down to is that you're talking about 6 legitimately or potentially 7 games where we're going to see what Trevor Siemian is made of. We know what Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas can do. We know what C.J. Anderson and this kid Devontae Booker can do in the backfield because they've been doing it, and we know they're tried and proven. The offensive line is a bit suspect at times, but they've been better this year. But in terms of Trevor Siemian and what he's going to be able to bring to the table, a legitimate argument can be made that the jury is still out. And until I see him against division rivals and how he performs under that duress, then I will pass judgment. Until that moment in time, I'm not sold on him.
Let me just tell you what's going to happen. They're going to win double-digit games. They will make the playoffs. Trevor Siemian will be their quarterback. Now, will they win the Super Bowl? Probably not, because even the best team in football doesn't necessarily win the Super Bowl in a given season. But will they win a playoff game? Will they make the playoffs in advance? Oh, very likely. And even if you think that Osweiler raised your chances a little bit of getting deeper into the playoffs, which, and I know, look, Siemian wasn't facing nearly the defense Osweiler was facing yesterday. Siemian looked good. I mean, one of the reasons that we talk about Dak and we talk about Wentz a lot, because it's this draft that they just got picked in, and Siemian was the previous season. And Siemian doesn't look as talented as those guys, but he's kind of doing what they're doing, taking care of the ball, making smart reads, getting it out quickly, all that stuff. I mean, he's looking pretty good. But even if Osweiler gave you some small premium over Siemian this year as the GM of a team to avoid being locked into years of a bad contract, which for years lowers your odds every year that you could be a good team, versus this guy who, even if you decreased your odds this season a little bit, you've shown the ability to put together a team in various ways, in various constructions that can compete. And now going forward, you got that extra money to spend everywhere else. It's still the right decision.
Max, just because you're a beautiful orator and you sound like you make sense doesn't make your argument that more poignant,
Well,
because it
how.
doesn't. Here's the reality. Because Elway hasn't had to do anything this offseason. You lost Danny Trevathan. You lost Malik Jackson. Outside of that, your team is intact. All you had to do was replace a guy who looked like he aged in dog years in Peyton Manning last year. He should have been doing the commercials a year before. They won the Super Bowl in spite of Peyton Manning, not because of him, because he was a shell of himself. No disrespect, because he's one of the greatest quarterbacks to have ever lived. But last year, he wasn't that dude. Trevor Siemian right now is better than what we saw from Peyton Manning last year, which ain't saying much, because Peyton Manning, health-wise, had regressed that much. So what do you act like Elway went into the offseason and just overhauled his roster? What he did was he changed from a quarterback who had clearly aged and was far beyond his prime and needed to go for a guy in Trevor Siemian who actually is young, has an arm, has a brain, can run an offense, and you got Gary Kubiak, you got Emmanuel Sanders and Demaryius Thomas, you got C.J. Anderson, you still got one of the top-rated defense, you got arguably the best secondary in all of football. You act like John Elway had to sit up there and reshape his entire roster. He didn't have to do that.
Thank you, Max Kellerman. That was a great argument. In fact, I agree. John Elway, you're right, is vindicated in his decisions to not make stupid moves. Sometimes the best move you make is the one you don't make when there's pressure to spend money.
So in other words, he didn't do anything, so that makes him brilliant.
Well, yeah.
So what I'm saying to you is that you're saying because he didn't do anything.
Osweiler?
Now you're saying because he didn't do it. Hold on, I got a question. Now you're saying because he didn't do anything, he was vindicated last night?
Absolutely, yes.
What sense does that make?
Because the guy he didn't spend 70+ million or 37 million guaranteed over the next couple seasons, the guy he didn't spend that money on was just outplayed by the guy he's hardly paying anything at all.
Well, then if that's the case, Max, if that's the case, he was vindicated. If that's the case, if that's the case, he was vindicated the moment Brock Osweiler went to Houston, because who the hell argued that he should have kept Brock Osweiler for 70? Who made that argument that Brock Osweiler should have been kept for $70 million?
It was an open question.
Who?
Listen, it was an open question.
Where is
I'm not going to give you names. You want to? I'll provide you a list of names after the commercial break of columnists and various other people and people in football who thought they should have kept Brock Osweiler.
Osweiler should get $70 million?
Because
that said Brock Osweiler should get $70 million?
That was the price. That was the price for Osweiler. Obviously, that's what the market dictated. And Elway said that price is too rich for my blood for that guy, and made the point about middle-class quarterbacks. And now he's even got something less than a middle-class quarterback in terms of what he has to pay him. It was smart.
Okay. And I'm saying to you, fine. That's fine. At the end of the day, 2 games against Oakland, 2 games against Kansas City, another game against San Diego, 1 against New England. Come talk to me then. Brock Osweiler, if you're making the argument that the Elway was vindicated because we've learned that Brock Osweiler just ain't that good, okay, that's fine. To me, I'm looking at it from the perspective, we're talking about Trevor Siemian here.
How's Siemian look to you?
Is Trevor Siemian worth what we think he is? All I'm saying is it's possible that he is, but I need to see him against AFC West divisional foes before I come to that conclusion.
This is the crux of the argument. The Broncos are at a very high leverage moment in their history, which makes Elway's job much more difficult than you're describing, because even though he didn't want to have to pay the extra premium for Osweiler, if they did think that it gave them a better chance to win because he's more experienced, he's been in the system, he just was on a team that won the Super Bowl, even if he didn't play in the Super Bowl, all that stuff, at that moment in time, that's when you maybe have to pay for that moment of leverage. Like, we can actually make a run at another Super Bowl or 2 right now. And instead, he chose discretion. He chose, I'm not going to spend the money. I'm going to trust our process and our team building.
Totally disagree.
And I'm going to roll the dice with Siemian. And right now, it looks like a good decision.
He did not have to. Again, you just talking. He didn't have to do that, because he won the Super Bowl. If he lost the Super Bowl, there would have been pressure on him to do something. But You're the reigning defending Super Bowl champion with a top-rated defense and everybody returning but an age-old quarterback who probably should have retired a year earlier. That didn't put pressure on Elway to have to
in
pay
the NFL,
Brock Osweiler
except for the
$70
Patriots,
million.
Every other franchise except for the Patriots and maybe the Seahawks is there's pressure on them if you're really good and poised for a Super Bowl to strike while the iron's hot, because who knows when that's going to come along again. And Elway didn't allow that pressure to affect him in a way that would make a bad financial decision. He gambled on Siemian. It was a gamble, and right now, after last night especially, it looks like the gamble's paying off. Good judgment.
I love how you keep regurgitating your same point as if somebody didn't hear you. I heard you loud and clear. I disagree. The pieces in place, he had his whole team in place other than a quarterback who should have retired. You don't have any pressure to pay your unproven quarterback that had 5 or 7 starts and all of a sudden he deserves $70 million when you're the reigning defending Super Bowl champions. If anything, he should have been privileged to sit up there and stay with you. He probably didn't stay because he wanted to go to a tax-free state. He didn't want to pay those taxes. No state income tax in Texas. That's probably why he decided to leave. All
right, let's leave it there. You know what it is. The First Take, Your Take viewer contest is here. You could win a chance to debate Stephen A. and Max right here on national television. All you have to do is go to firsttakeyourtake.com. Upload a 1-minute video with your and only your best original sports debate. Please keep it clean. No music, team logos, trademarks, or copyrighted material. 2 winners will be selected by our show staff. So get to work, people. We want to see you at the desk taking on Stephen A. and Max. Here's a few of our latest submissions.
To think that a super team is being made to beat LeBron James, LeBron James would have to have a winning finals record. He's given away more rings than he's earned. Nobody really cares about beating LeBron James.
And then on the other hand, you got to say that there's no one person that can answer for LeBron James. I beg to differ. You got to look at Kawhi Leonard, what he's been doing since the 2013-14 season. He's the only person who ever held LeBron James from going to the free throw line for a whole game.
Let's look at Kevin Durant, who could have joined Miami, could have joined Boston, could have started amazing franchises there, but no, he had to already join an established franchise to have a secure bona fide route to the NBA Finals, which I'm sure we can all agree Warriors are going to the Finals again.
No, LeBron, you are not the reason that the sun rises in the morning. You're not the reason the sun sets in the evening. The world does not revolve around you. People play in the NBA and try to win championships.
Stephen A., what do you think?
I wasn't that impressed. With those. First of all, 2 dudes, especially one dude with the white shirt on, was all wrinkled and everything, looked like he just woke up. You know, there was another dude that looked like he was trying to look like Allen Iverson with a blazer on, with the braids, and you know, there's only one AI. So I had a problem with them, and nothing that they said truly resonated with me. I'm here in Cleveland, Ohio, with hype fans. I don't have time to be watching folks that's not bringing it. If you're not going to bring it, don't do the damn video. I'm telling these people, I'm watching the videos every day. I'm judging them accordingly. And I wasn't very impressed with those videos. I was very disappointed with those videos that I just saw. They almost reminded me of how Max can be sometimes.
How dare you? Now, see, there are 2 things in this business. This business is a lot like the hip-hop game in the sense that up here you're an MC. So what counts? It's the lyrics and the delivery, right? Who spits the flyest, basically, like the actual content of what you're saying, who has the best of that, and then how much flavor do you bring? And I have to agree with Stephen A. Smith for once on this show. The content, the lyrics were all right, and the flavor was okay. You got to have one or the other, or preferably both.
I appreciate everyone submitting, though. Tough crowd here.
Well, listen, no, wait a minute. You go ahead and you appreciate them all they want. I had this, you know what, I put together this contest because I wanted to give the people a voice. You're going to take time out to be on national television with your video. You need to bring it. And they didn't bring it.
I saw some. I've seen some on Twitter.
Am I lying?
I've seen some on Twitter.
They got to bring it.
On Twitter.